to EmpowerFuse with your host, Dr. Carolyn M. Rubin. EmpowerFuse is a show of empowering messages with a focus on encouraging self-confidence, resilience, and a positive mindset. Certified life coach and six-phase meditation trainer, Dr. Carolyn Rubin, will unleash inspiration together while igniting motivation and creativity. Dr. Rubin will discuss many topics such as healthcare, leadership, life, growth, and we'll add in some laughter too. So please welcome the host of EmpowerFuse, Dr. Carolyn Rubin.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for sharing a little bit of your Saturday with me. It is great to have you here today. So let me start out by just asking you a question. When was the last time you felt proud of your leadership? Not because the numbers were good, not because everything ran smoothly, but because you protected people while carrying the pressure. And I want you to notice what your body does when you hear protected people. Do you soften? Do you tighten? Or just exhale? If you have your journal right there, I want you to write this down for me. I felt proud as a leader when. And complete that sentence with one moment, just big or small. I felt proud as a leader when. Let's capture a moment. And what are you holding the system together, but it's costing you parts of yourself to do it? If your cost could speak, what would it say? Fatigue, irritability, numbness, maybe over-responsibility. In your journal, I want you to write down this question. The part of me that's paying the price is, and think about it. What part of you is paying the price because you're trying to hold it all together? And if your team could describe your leadership in one word right now, what would you hope they would say? And what do you think they would actually say? I want you to write down the two lines. I hope they say. What's the one word? I hope they say. And I think they might say. Complete those two statements. I hope they say. I think they might say. No shame, no fixing, just honest truth. And in the chat, drop one word that you hope your team would use. Drop one word in the chat. Because healthcare leadership isn't just leadership. It's leadership inside complexity, emotion, urgency, and human lives. Been in healthcare for 34 years. There's a lot that goes into being a healthcare leader. So today we're going to talk about what it means to lead like a healer, even if we're not the clinician. Welcome to EmpowerFuse, unleashing inspiration together, where we ignite what's inside and we amplify what's possible. This is your space to breathe deeper, to think clearer, and to come back to what matters. If you're joining live, welcome. If you're watching the replay, welcome home. Grab your journal, grab a pen, and give yourself permission to be present, not perfect. And I want you to place one hand on your heart, one on your stomach, and we're going to inhale and exhale. And while we do so, I want you to quietly say to yourself, I can lead with strength and still stay human. Ready? Inhale, exhale. I can lead with strength and still stay human. And let that sentence land for just a moment. Where do you resist it? And where do you need it? In your journal, I want you to write this down. When I lead under pressure, I tend to complete it with one word. It might be speed up, shut down, fix, control, over-explain, or go quiet. Just some examples. So when I lead under pressure, I tend to. One word. Hi, I'm Dr. Carolyn M. Rubin. And today's conversation is for every healthcare leader who is carrying the invisible load. Expectations, staffing, patient needs, operations, morale, pressure to perform, while also trying to be a decent human being. Today's theme is Lead Like a Healer, the healthcare leader's real job. And we'll do this in 3 parts. The first part, what healthcare leadership really is, beyond tasks and titles. The second, the inner work that protects your leadership from burnout. And the third, the practices that build trust, accountability, and resilience. And we'll end with one clear assignment that you can take to your week. So I want you to write this down in your journal and think about it as we're going to go to a quick commercial break. But first, I want you to write down, today I choose to lead from clarity, steadiness, courage, compassion, or boundaries. Circle one of those. Today I choose to lead from clarity, steadiness, courage, compassion, or boundaries. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we're going to talk about the healthcare leader's real job. Be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. We discover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals.
Welcome back to EmpowerFuse, Unleashing Inspiration Together. We're going to take some time and we're going to talk about the healthcare leader's real job. And let's name the truth. Healthcare leadership is not just running a department. It's holding a system steady while people are living real life inside of it. And the real job of the healthcare leader is to create psychological safety in a very high stakes environment. Because when people feel unsafe, they don't innovate. They don't speak up. They don't collaborate. They protect themselves. And in healthcare, when people protect themselves, patients and teams will pay the price. So today, I'm going to ask you to think of your leadership in two roles. The first one is the operator. As the operator, you're going to manage the KPIs, the compliance, the execution, everything that we are responsible for from an operational standpoint. But your second role is as the regulator. You regulate the energy, the emotion, the culture, and the trust within your team, within a room, within a department. Most leaders were trained to be operators, but healthcare needs regulators because culture is clinical. It affects outcomes, it affects retention, and it will affect care. So we need regulators. And 3 conditions of psychological safety in healthcare is permission to speak. Questions aren't punished. Questions should be welcomed. They need permission to speak. Also, permission to be human. Emotion isn't labeled weakness. We all have emotions. It's how we manage them. But emotion is not labeled weakness. And the third one is permission to repair. Because mistakes become learning, not humiliation. We fail forward, we get back up, we keep on going. We repair any mistake that may have been made. It's a learning opportunity for us. I want you to think about that for just a minute. And which one is most fragile on your team right now? Is it permission to speak? Permission to be human, or permission to repair? Which one of the 3 is the most fragile on your team right now? I want you to grab your journal, and at the top of your journal, I want you to write this: the culture I create is, and finish that sentence honestly. The culture I create is. And after you've completed that sentence, I want you to answer these questions. Where does my team feel most supported by me? Where does my team feel most supported by me? Where do they feel most managed instead of led? Where do they feel most managed instead of led? Where do people hesitate to speak up? Where do people hesitate to speak up? And what pressure am I under that might be leaking into my tone? What pressure am I under that might be leaking into my tone? And lastly, what would repair look like if I practiced it this week? What would repair look like if I practiced it this week? And I want you to underline the question you don't want to answer. Any of those 5 questions you don't want to answer, underline it. Because that's the doorway. That's what we have to think about. High standards, high care, same time. As a healthcare leader, it's what we strive for. High standards, high care. And we have to do it at the same time. And I want to make this real, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. Because every leader has a pressure moment. The moment where the system's loud and your nervous system is even louder. There was a season where everything felt like it was converging at once. Integration deadlines, I had staffing gaps, I had rising patient volumes, and I had access bottlenecks. People could not get in to be seen. Denials were climbing and turnover was accelerating faster than we could stop it. And underneath it all, conflict that hadn't yet found words. On paper, it looked like it was a systems issue. But in real life, it was people holding too much. What was at stake wasn't abstract. Patients were waiting longer than they should have. We've all been in that moment. And everybody gets stressed. And timelines were compressing instead of flexing. Financial pressure was just tightening with conversations. And the morale, well, it was thinning. Not loudly, but quietly. The kind of quiet that doesn't show up on dashboards, but shows up in hallways. And you can feel it. I could feel it. Pressure didn't just show up around me, it showed up in me. I moved faster. I tightened control, my tone shortened, and the urgency became my default setting as I was trying to fix everything at once. But it wasn't because I didn't care, but because I cared deeply and felt responsible for holding everything together. I felt like I owned it all. But then I noticed something. Faces changed when I entered the room. Conversations got efficient and also very cautious. And silence stretched just a little bit longer than it should have. Trust didn't disappear, but it dipped. Not dramatically, subtly, but enough to matter. That was my turning point. Not a breakdown, not a confrontation, but a quiet moment. One where I caught myself thinking, why isn't anyone bringing solutions to me? And almost immediately, another thought followed. Have I made it safe for them to do so? That question stopped me. You see, leadership isn't about moving forward or moving work forward. It's about regulating the room. That's what I now call the healer move. See, I had to slow down. Not the work, but my energy. I had to pause and take deep breaths. Slow down. I named the pressure instead of transmitting it. I softened my tone without actually lowering expectations, and I asked one different question of the team. What are you seeing that I might be missing? I gave them the safe space to bring the solutions. What are you seeing that I might be missing? And then I listened. I didn't try to fix anything. I didn't try to defend anything. We also didn't rush to the next agenda item. We paused. We had a conversation. And something shifted right then. The room just exhaled. It just exhaled, and people took ownership again. They brought solutions, ideas came to the top, and I just sat back and could listen to what the team was bringing to the table. Execution didn't just continue, but it steadied. Not because the pressure disappeared. No, it was still there. But because it was no longer being carried alone. I no longer felt like I was the one that had to do it all. I started engaging with the team. They had better ideas, solutions, and that is the healer's role in leadership. Let them have a voice. So we don't have to absorb everything, and we don't have to rush past humanity in the name of urgency. But we have to create enough stability that offers others a way to do their best thinking and to bring that forward and offer up ideas and solutions. See, when leaders regulate themselves, teams will regulate together. And that's how real healing in systems, in culture, in leadership actually begins. So where are you currently leading inside a pressure moment? I want you to grab your journal and I want you to write down these 2 questions. My most common pressure pattern is, and finish out that statement. And the healer move I'm willing to practice is. So write down the question, where are you currently leading inside a pressure moment? And then my most common pressure pattern is. And the healer move I am willing to practice is. Then I want you to write this down. One word. What pressure triggers you most? Time, staffing, conflict, expectations, uncertainty. What pressure triggers you most? Time, staffing, conflict, expectations, uncertainty. I'm going to say something right now, and it's a pretty bold statement. But in healthcare, leadership presence is a clinical intervention. Not because you treat patients, but because you shape the conditions where care happens. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we're going to talk more about your presence as a clinical intervention. Be right back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. You know, it feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to EmpowerFuse, Unleashing Inspiration Together. Let me say something bold, and I said this statement right before commercial break. In healthcare, leadership presence is a clinical intervention, not because we treat patients, but because we shape the conditions where care happens. See, your tone in a meeting, your reaction to bad news, how you speak when staffing is tight, whether you shame or stabilize, that becomes the emotional temperature of the team. So be honest. What temperature do you set when you're stressed? Is it cold? Is it hot? Is it chaotic? Maybe you're silent or sharp, or maybe a little overly intense. If you think back and reflect on the temperature that you set when you're stressed, where does it fit? In your journal, I want you to write this down. When I'm stressed, my team experiences me as. When I'm stressed, my team experiences me as. No judgment, just fill in the statement. Because then we're talking about 3 leadership moves that can help transform teams in healthcare. So again, when I'm stressed, my team experiences me as. And here's 3 leadership moves that can help transform teams in healthcare. Stabilize before you strategize. You like that? Stabilize before you strategize. Take a step back and try asking the question or making the statement this way. We're going to handle this. Let's slow down and let's see what's true. Open the floor and let others weigh in. So stabilize before you strategize. Set the tone. We're going to handle this. Let's slow down and let's see what's true. Second one, name what's hard without making it hopeless. Name what's hard without making it hopeless. So let's try this. This is heavy, and we're not alone in it. Set the tone. This is heavy, but we're not alone in it. Third one, protect dignity at all cost. Correct performance, yes, but never crush a person in the process. Protect dignity at all cost. Correct performance, but never crush a person in the process. Let's look at this a little bit more. And we're going to practice language. Because under pressure, we don't rise to intention. We fall to rehearsed patterns. So to help provide a little bit of structure or to reset, I'm going to have you write these 3 down, and I want you to write them in your own version. So stabilize. Let's slow down. Here's what's true. In your own version, what would you write for stabilize? Hard, not hopeless. This is heavy and hard, not hopeless. What is your version? And then dignity and accountability. We'll address the issue by dignity and accountability. Finish it with your version. And then here's what I want you to write down. When things get intense, I will say. Think back to that. When things get intense, I will say. When someone makes a mistake, I will say. And lastly, when morale is low, I will say. So think about that. And then I want you to circle your best sentence, because that's your new standard. When things get intense, I will say. When someone makes a mistake, I will say. And when morale is low, I will say. How will you change? What is your version? Stabilize before you strategize. Name what's hard without making it hopeless, and protect dignity at all cost. Now I want you to just kind of drop your shoulders, and I want you to inhale. And as you inhale, I want you to think, I return to calm. And as you exhale, I want you to think, I lead from clarity. So inhale, I return to calm. Exhale, I lead from clarity. So take the time to pause. Take the breath. I return to calm. I lead from clarity. Now in your journal, I want you to write this. When pressure rises, do I become more controlling or more curious? When pressure rises, do I become more controlling or more curious? Circle which fits you. What does my team need most from me right now? Is it clarity, encouragement, boundaries, or breathing room? What does my team need most from me right now? Clarity, encouragement, boundaries, or breathing room? Circle one of those. And what phrase will I practice this week? And write it down. Own it. Commit to it. What phrase will I practice this week? We're halfway through. And I want you to notice something. What's your body telling you? If your body is tense while you're trying to lead, your leadership will also feel tense. So what does your body say to you? And I want us to take just a moment and reset. So I want you to breathe in and breathe out. And as you're doing so, I want you to say this: I don't have to rush to lead well. I don't have to rush to lead well. Ready? Inhale. Exhale. I don't have to rush to lead well. And I want you to ask yourself, what do I want to take into the second half? What do I want to release? So in your journal, I want you to answer these three statements. I release. So what do you want to release? Fill that in. I release. And the next one, I return to. What do you want to take into the next half? I return to. And the last one, the kind of leader I'm becoming is. The kind of leader I'm becoming is. So fill in those statements. And think about it for just a moment. Because next we're going to talk about trust. Because trust is the currency of healthcare leadership. Trust is not built during performance reviews. Trust is built in the hallway, in the handoff, in how you respond to a mistake. And whether you listen with your eyes and your heart. We're going to talk about 4 trust signals. The first one, I see you. Not just your output, but you. I see you. The second one, I'm consistent. My expectations don't change based on my mood. We build trust when we're consistent. And our expectations don't change because we're stressed, because we're behind. It doesn't change based on our mood. I tell the truth. Even when it's uncomfortable, I don't hide reality. You earn trust by telling the truth. And I hold the line with care. Accountability without humiliation. I hold the line with care. Now I'm going to ask you to rate yourself from 1 to 10 on the next 4 statements. You can write this in your journal. Put a number 1 through 10. First one, I see you. How would you rate yourself on 1 to 10? The second one, I'm consistent. Rate yourself 1 to 10. I tell the truth. And the last one, I hold the line with care. So 1 to 10 on each of those. I see you. I'm consistent. I tell the truth. And I hold the line with care. What was your highest score? And then ask yourself, why is this my strength? So I want you to think about that. Why is this my strength? That's your highest score. Your lowest score, what gets in the way? Think about that. What gets in the way? In one relationship, where do I need to rebuild trust? We're going to take our last commercial break. So please think about those 4 statements and how you scored yourself. Why is your highest your strength? Why is your lowest what gets in the way? And what's the one relationship that you need to rebuild trust? We'll be right back.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Welcome back to EmpowerFuse, Unleashing Inspiration Together. Before we went on break, I had you scoring yourself on certain questions, certain statements. I see you, I'm consistent, I tell the truth, and I hold the line with care. And I asked you, for one relationship, where do you need to rebuild trust? And I want you to write this down because repair is leadership. I need to revisit how I handled that. That wasn't the leader I want to be. And here's what I'm changing going forward. And where do you need to say that? See, we're going to talk about the repair moment. Because as a leader, we need to be able to do that. I'm going to talk about what separates good leaders from trusted leaders. It's not perfection. It's the repair. And there was a moment in my leadership where the misstep wasn't about strategy. See, it was all about tone. We were in that fast-paced moving season, decisions were stacking, and meetings were back to back. Pressure was high, and I delivered a message way too quick. Too quick. Without a pause. Without a breath. It was clear, but man, it was sharp. It was decisive, but it was very clipped, and it was efficient, but there was absolutely no warmth to that message. It was a straight, delivered message. The words weren't wrong, but I will tell you the way that it landed was. The impact was almost immediate. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic, but people withdrew. And the room got quiet. The contributions that they were making slowly came to a stop. There was a lot of tension, and it was such that it showed up in posture, not protest. Morale didn't crash, but it did shift. I could feel it. Others could feel it. And at that moment, I faced something very uncomfortable. Not the team, but myself. You see, I realized I had confused urgency with permission. Permission to rush. Permission to harden. Permission to assume clarity mattered more than connection. So I stopped. I chose truth. And I called the moment what it was. Not later. Not indirectly. I said, I want to name something. The way I communicated earlier totally missed the mark. The decision stands, but my tone didn't reflect the respect that I had for the team. Then I paused. I slowed my voice. I made eye contact. I stayed present instead of powering through the discomfort. And I added, when pressure rises, I move fast. That's something I'm working on. You deserve clarity and dignity always. That was the repair. Not the over-explaining, not self-defending, not walking back the decision. Just ownership. Delivered calmly, consistently, and something shifted in the room. And trust didn't just return, but it did strengthen because of the repair. People spoke again, and questions came forward, and ownership re-entered the room. You see, safety was restored for the team. Not because I was perfect, but because I was honest. And that's a lesson that I carry forward. Leadership repair isn't about being soft. It's about being steady. It's about taking that pause, taking that breath. It's having dignity in how you speak, consistency in how you show up, and truth, especially when it's uncomfortable. Because teams don't need flawless leaders. They need leaders who know how to repair, how to acknowledge when something wasn't quite right. So what's one repair you owe, big or small? And in your journal, I want you to write down, the repair I've been avoiding is, and the first sentence I can say is. The repair I've been avoiding is, and the first sentence I can say is. Think about that. You see, in healthcare, we don't need smart leaders. We need whole leaders. We need IQ for thinking, strategy, systems, EQ for emotional awareness, communication, and conflict navigation. And we need SQ for spiritual intelligence, meaning, values, integrity, purpose under pressure. When those integrate, you lead with transformation quotient. You don't just run the system, you elevate the humans inside it. And here's what I want you to do. In your journal, I want you to draw 3 columns. The first one is IQ. The second one is EQ. And the last one is SQ. In IQ, I want you to write, what decision am I avoiding that requires clarity? What decision am I avoiding that requires clarity? And under EQ, I want you to write, what conversation am I delaying that requires courage? What conversation am I delaying that requires courage? In SQ, what value do I refuse to sacrifice even under pressure? What value do I refuse to sacrifice even under pressure? And then under IQ, I want you to put IQ under pressure becomes over fixing, over control. EQ under pressure becomes defensiveness and withdrawal. And SQ under pressure becomes values drift and numbness. IQ under pressure becomes over fixing and over control. EQ under pressure becomes defensiveness and withdrawal. SQ under pressure becomes value drift and numbness. Now for your final assignment, it's a 7-day healer leader. And here's the assignment. It's simple, it's powerful, but it's real. I only want you to choose one of the 3 things that I'm going to list off, but I want you to do it daily. So the first one, option A, 2-minute stabilizer. Once per day, I want you to say, here's what I know. Here's what I don't know. And here's what we'll do next. Here's what I know. Here's what I don't know. And here's what we'll do next. Option B, the dignity deposit. Once per day, say the way you handled that mattered. The way you handled that mattered. And then option 3, or C, is the presence reset. Before your hardest meeting, you're going to take 3 breaths. And then you're going to ask, what does this room need from me? Steadiness or direction? And I need you to commit to it. So your 7-day practice, is it option A, B, or C? And when will you do it? At the start of the day, the start of a huddle, after lunch, or end of day? And your first moment to use it is, and one person or team member that you'll practice it with. So again, commit to which option and when you're going to do it. Your job isn't to be the strongest person in the room. Your job is to be the person who makes strength safer for everyone else. Because when people feel safe, they speak up. They ask questions. They admit mistakes. They collaborate. They stay. And in healthcare, that changes everything. So may you lead with steadiness. May you protect dignity. May you build trust in small moments. May your leadership heal more than it harms. Lead like a healer, because the way you lead becomes the way people learn to live. Thank you for joining me this week. Stay blessed. And until next Saturday, please go out, like, subscribe, pass this on to others if you feel that it's beneficial for them. Stay blessed. God bless you all. Bye-bye.
This has been EmpowerFuse with your host, Dr. Carolyn M. Rubin. Join us each week as Carolyn brings individuals together to share ideas, to collectively support each other, and to spark inspiration. Saturdays, 11 a.m. Eastern.